This video in which you're about to see is deep. It's very personal. A lot of times people see me and they see the laughter, they see the miniature jokes, they see the man that stands behind a screen and makes people smile and makes them feel welcome on his platform. But there's a side of this man that people don't see. And the side of this man that people don't see is that some of the things that I hear online and even offline about red pill rage, or men having red pill moments, that somehow I never had those moments. Even worse, that I never been through red pill rage. And I have, many times. I've constantly heard arguments, debates, screaming, yelling. But the one thing that no one ever really talked about, or one thing that is one of the gross misnomers of red pill, is do you really know what you're looking at when you see it? Do you really know what you're hearing when you're hearing it? There's also a lot of prejudices out here when it comes to red pill. Like, most of these men who are in these communities chose the lowest of the women that they can find, and they got what they righteously deserved. Or that these men are broke, busted, and disgusted, so they need to level up. And even worse, a lot of people say, get over it. Move on. Believe in Jesus and just move on. Level up. Believe in Jesus, move on. I got a lot of arguments when it comes to that. It's coming from a man who is 54 now. Coming from a man who has been through hell. Hell. And by the grace of God survived. But it doesn't mean that I didn't come out with bruises, with scars, with hurts, with pains. So let's take a moment. Let's hear from the intentional millionaire.
We was committed to be together.
Okay.
And I had got her a promise ring. The goal was she finished school, I finished school, we move in, we get married, all that fun stuff.
Okay.
Well, she was a year ahead of me. And when she finished before me, she wanted to jump the gun and wanted me to do all this and that. And I was like, no, because the commitment was for me to also finish, then we do that. And I kind of looked in the face and told her, hey, I want to be with you. I had gave her a promise ring.
So can you see that comment Sir Hale said? He said to him, she seemed honest. She didn't lie or lead you on. How do you respond to that?
I agree with that.
Okay.
Because she did. That's what I appreciate. That's what I appreciate, and that's probably I would say why I did not, get into red pill rage or whatever. Because she was honest and upfront. Because I asked her a direct question, she gave me a direct answer, and that's how it's supposed to be.
My red pill rage, as we just heard, truth telling. In my situation, not once but twice, a woman, my youngest daughter's mother, accused me or stated to me that she was pregnant with my son. As a man, I was always ready to take care of my children. My end result is I did. But let's continue. She was pregnant with my son, so she said. Took care of her during the pregnancy. And then the latter month, when she gave birth, she made it very well known that this was my son. And at the moment, although this young man was born extremely light, I didn't take it in the wrong way. Why? Well, my oldest daughter is also light and looks like me. So I wouldn't have imagined that this woman would lie. I met her in college, decent family home, was surrounded by, quote, Christians, until 6 months later. We went to a woman's home that she called her second mother. And while sitting there in the living room, I'm holding this little boy who happens to have my name. And I look at the boy and I see a gentleman coming out of this woman's bedroom, or his bedroom, because he lived with his mother. And I looked at the boy and I looked at him, and as you could know, they look real identical. And at that moment, at that time, I asked her, whose child really is this? Now, the woman that she defined as her second mother ushered her son out of the house. And then the truth came out that this child, who now bared my name, was not my child. But let's add a caveat onto that. The woman she called her mother knew the truth. An evangelist in a semi-decent sized church, I remind you, said she knew that it was a lie, but she felt I was the better man than her son. Two women lied to me about a child that wasn't my child. Not only was it a lie, but it also caused a major rift between the relationship that I was building with my oldest and firstborn child. So this lie caused me money, caused me pain, and most of all caused me money. Because how make me responsible for a child that isn't mine? 5 years old. Because as soon as my youngest daughter was born, I fought my behind in a court system to gain full custody of my daughter. And I ended up winning custody of my daughter. But if you don't think that in the midst of all that time, that I didn't have red pill rage, I did. Is there a time where the residual effects of that doesn't affect me? It does. It does. Now, by the grace of God, my daughter is now earning a master's degree, but her father was damaged. This ain't got nothing to do with the white man. This ain't got nothing to do with slavery. This ain't got nothing to do with woman for the streets. It's got everything to do with the integrity of a woman who lied for selfish gains at the cost of my life. But I'm not finished yet. Let's finish listening to more Intentional Millionaire.
I'm going to take you down a slippery slope. If you can answer it, cool. If you can't, that's cool too. Do you think some of the men in the red pill community, and I normally don't talk about anything negative in the manosphere, but do you think some in the red pill community is angry because they miss they missed what a woman said to them? Or do you think for your situation, it was totally different than a lot of the guys that's in the red pill situation?
Well, I think that's a layered question.
Okay.
So for
all
me,
right.
I would say for me, I think I was in a unique situation because I did have my dad there and I
Right.
saw structure.
Okay.
One. Two, because also you got to keep in mind my mom and dad was under the old way of doing things where my dad made the bulk of the money and my mom, she worked, but my mom never made over $14,000.
Gotcha.
And there was a 28 year gap between my mom and dad. So,
Okay.
One, but on the same token, I can understand why a person would be, because one is if you're not raised to be, one thing I did learn from my dad is be upfront, be clear, crisp, and concise, be direct.
Right.
It was even times, and it took a while for me to really get that because I was rough. Anybody that know me when I was younger, especially around that time, they'll tell you that I was very nonchalant. I was too direct because that's what I saw my dad was. I mean, I would just, words convince people.
Right.
So but I had to learn. These are things that I had to learn. I had to learn how to better communicate. I had to spend the time to understand that you just can't say anything that on your mind. You have to say it, especially when you're talking. It's different when you're talking to a group versus when you're talking to a person one-on-one.
Right.
So you got to know how to communicate. That's the next level communicating. Anybody can talk and just throw out words.
Right.
But a true communicator know how to communicate depending on the audience and the people they're talking to. And that's what I had to learn. But with that being said, I think that for a lot of people today, because they're not taught how to communicate, so it depends. A woman may not have been as honest like she was, so that can cause some level of discontent. And the man may not have been as clear, crisp, and concise, and that can cause confusion.
Right.
So I think it just really depends on the individuals. I don't think it's a one size fit all type of scenario because I think it really has something to do with your background, your life experiences. My thing is, but that's why I think sometimes we can't put everything in a box.
Right.
Because everybody has a different walk. However, we do got to have standards, and the standard needs to be that we need to be clear, crisp, and concise and say what it is and communicate what we want or what we don't want.
So growing up, do you feel that's what men lack? Is that ability to say, this is what we want and stick to it? Or do you think this is something new that's now going on?
That's a good question.
I told you I'm willing to go down, and I don't like to call it a slippery slope because to kind of give you some oxygen, I've always said I will defend.
I would say this. I'm gonna be honest with you. I would say this. I think it's more men that's clear, crisp, and concise on what they want. I think it's more men that has leveled up. If you just look at statistics and raw data, men, us, especially black men, have come a very long way. And I think that because when we go back to, kind of thinking about how things used to be and how we was further at the bottom, I think we done came a long way. I think men that have leveled up professionally. I think men that leveled up because when you still look at statistics, it's more men that's not married with no kids. So I think with all that being said, we have leveled up. But I think that in the same token, I think that we don't get the credit for how far we came. So with that being said, I think it is a new age. I think things are different because we continue to level up. But the challenge is because of all these different systems and the environment in this, in let's just say society, doing a lot of the foundational stuff for some people, mainly a lot of women. I'm just gonna be totally honest from my belief.
Hey, I told you,
Okay,
this
a
that
lot
kind
of
of
women have
platform.
allowed society to kind of shape their view on things, and definitely shape their view on us men. That it's allowed a lot of confusion. Because you got to remember, the first teacher of culture is women. So if it's more single women households and they are the number one teacher of culture, then to me, there's where the disconnect happens, because if the man is not there, now the structure is gone, the foundation is gone, the leadership is gone.
Let me, because I put up two people in the chat. I put up JB, I put up JB, and I put up Before the Billions. Now here's two young black men who are successful. They're handling business, they're handling life, but both admitted to being in red pill rage. And I will admit, I had a red pill rage situation, so I want to, if possible, I want to kind of marinate on that, because you said most of these guys don't have a father. With my red pill rage, I did have a father. So I'm trying to figure out the right wording for this.
Well, let me make sure I correct that. I didn't say most of the men don't have fathers. I said it depends on their situation. I had a father.
Okay.
I said I had a father, and because the incident that happened during the time, I had so much other stuff going on. I think that was probably my deflection from having the experience of red pill rage for me. But that's what I was saying, though. It was because of everything going on, and I was so young, and I didn't have nowhere else to go but up. If that make any sense?
Exactly.
But I can understand, because I think for most people, I would still believe that we have to have experiences that allow us to know that we can level up, that we're going to level up as men.
Right.
Part of men, because you asked the question about business.
Right.
Okay. Well, part of the reason why I believe a man should at least make an attempt at some level of business or something that he owns, because that gives the man that sense of ownership, that sense of leadership. It's an internal thing. Because if you was to talk to JB or Before the Billions, the number one thing that they both have in common is, even through their red pill rage, they woke up some inside of themselves. So they may have already had it, but it elevated to another level.
Okay.
And if they in the chat, just let me know if I'm off on this, or let me know what they kind of thinking. But I think that's how it's designed, because I think it wakes up another level of another form. It allows you to morph into an even better version of yourself. See, but the challenge on the other side of that is,
right,
and this is what we got to be considerate of, is now, because when a person like Before the Billions or JB, even myself, when we level up, and then we get to that point,
right,
where we can operate at a higher state, at a state for our higher self, for ourselves, then the challenge then is finding a mate while you at that new level.
One of my, I don't want to use the word empathy or sympathy, but I'm gonna use both interchangeably. Is that's a compassion that I have for the red pill community.
Now I want to make a strong disclaimer, and I want people to understand this. I'm not a member or a follower or in the red pill community. So don't think that I'm some spokesperson for them. But I do acknowledge them, and I respect them. I respect them very much because I once was them. I once was in a position where I didn't want to deal with no woman. Why? Because of pain. I was in a position where all I wanted to do was pump and dump too. Why? Because of pain. But step by step, what I had to learn in the sense of me healing up, not leveling up. And what do I mean by healing up versus leveling up? Healing up is totally different. Healing up simply means being transformed. Recognizing that there was some good things about me. And learning to love me again. To love both my perfections and my imperfections. That's what I had to learn. I had to learn God all over again because I recognized at least 3 men in that Bible that also had red pill rage moments. Job had a red pill rage moment. Jeremiah had a red pill rage moment. And even Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God, if you believe that, had a red pill moment. If you in life can cause anybody, but mostly black men, to have a red pill moment. Another thing about this red pill rage of what I had to learn is called setting boundaries. The setting boundaries simply means doing things that's going to protect me, my heart, my mind. And it's funny, when women set boundaries, we say that's called healthy boundaries. But when men set boundaries, we say that they're crazy, they're cuckoo, they're out of their minds. But what I see is men trying to set healthy boundaries so that they don't get hurt, so that they don't become bruised, so that they don't lose their kids, so that they ain't going bankrupt. So setting a healthy boundary means that I'm not going to support a child that doesn't belong to them. That's their healthy boundary. Leave them alone. If setting a healthy boundary is them speaking direct and saying, this is what I bring to the table and this is the standard of the woman that I want, isn't that setting a healthy boundary for themselves? Now maybe certain boundaries they have, maybe certain standards they have, maybe it is crazy to you. Maybe it doesn't make sense to you. And that's okay, because it ain't made to make sense to you. As long as it makes sense to them. But I'm even going to take it one step further. When you are the victim of a crime, when you're the victim of a violation, the one who committed the violation, do they have the right to tell the one they violated when to heal? Can the person who did the abuse tell the one they abused when to get over it? Isn't that a hypocrisy that we'll say to a woman that if she's been abused, that she has time to what? Mourn, heal, grieve. But you don't give my men time to do the same thing. Isn't that hypocrisy? Now I know that there are certain platforms that speak a certain kind of way and they have a certain type of tone and maybe they cuss more than others. Okay? It's language that you're not accustomed to. Even for me, I don't sit on platforms with a whole lot of cussing, but I don't belittle them. I don't demean them. I don't say that they're ignorant, they're foolish. Because here's the reality. A lot of my men Maybe they don't know how to articulate themselves. Maybe they don't have the vocabulary to express themselves. So they do the best they can with the language they have. But it doesn't mean that they're stupid. It doesn't mean they're ignorant. They just lack the vocabulary to truly express what they're feeling on the inside. I just happen to be fortunate that I'm a well-read man who's been through a whole lot of therapy. So I know how to articulate the feelings, the actions, and the emotions. Now I know there are certain women that say, well, they're doing this and they're saying this and they're acting out this way. You know, if I take a page from O'Shea Duke Jackson's playbook, you know, I can't always be responsible for what my followers do. All I can help or hope is that those who are subscribed to me, those who listen to me, take the knowledge and the wisdom and go forward and do the best they can with what they understand. As I said before, do you really know what you're looking at? Do you really know what you're hearing? Now let me tell you, the biggest pain that I had came from the church. Came from the church. I got a degree in this thing. I know the Bible, but I also know what the church began to teach. They began to teach unaccountability for women while I keep pressing and pushing the onus on me. The narrative starts in the book of Genesis. They say, well, the woman ate the fruit. When Adam ate the fruit is when sin came into the world. Therefore, it's on man. Let me destroy that narrative. The Bible says that when God came back into the garden, he spoke to Adam and Eve. He said to Adam, where art thou? And he said to Eve, what have you done? In other words, the God of the Bible held both people accountable for their actions. He didn't hold one over the other. Even the Quran, the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad, states the same narrative. Adam and his wife was both held accountable in the garden. Both. So with that being said, this problem is equal accountability. Let's talk about that word. It's so funny to me that that word is one of the biggest cuss words, especially amongst my African American people. And it's usually used when people don't want to really listen to many things, justify many things. But I'm going to strongly talk about this real quickly because, as I said, I'm spreading this message out over a couple of weeks because I want to make sure that my words are spoken clearly, that my thoughts are clear, and that I'm coming right down the middle. But I do believe when it comes to the African American male, he is the most over-policed in the United States of America. A man by the name of the Coach got us a message about that, and I'll reach out to him to see if he can allow me some of his clips to kind of explain that. But I do believe it. I know it. African American men are going to prison. Yes, they are. But they're going to prison in single mother homes. But I have to give credit where credit is due. To tell black men to level up, I'm sorry. When I was in my 20s, I can count millionaires on one hand. It wasn't after. Today, there's a lot of them. When I was growing up, especially in the 80s, black men was going to prison left and right. Today, there are more black men getting college degrees, working in tech programs, buying homes, and have $1 million incomes. They've created a middle class that's never been as strong as it ever has been. They're building businesses, industries. They have the ability to travel all around the world today. So to constantly tell black men to level up, that's a cuss word. But the words that I like to use is, let's heal up, not level up. What do I mean by heal up? Everybody in the red pill is at different levels, different stages. And I respect that. It took me 3 years to come out of my last red pill rage. 3 years. And it took me a whole year on YouTube before I can even think about having my own platform. See, when I was going through red pill rage, there was nothing called the manosphere. I didn't know who the hell a O'Shea Dude Jackson from Obsidian from, not damn sure they didn't know who Kevin Samuels was. So when I speak my words, when I speak my voice, when I speak my feelings, when I speak my thoughts, I don't want a damn woman telling me I sound like Kevin Samuels. I don't want nobody telling me I sound like Obsidian. I surely ain't got clapping sounds. Sound like O'Shea Dude Jackson. Do I belittle these three men? Absolutely not. So don't you dare clip me and act like I belittle any one of these men, because I have not, and I got the full video to prove. I respect those three. But I'm a grown ass man. I serve in this country for the rights for each one of my brothers to have a voice. I don't have to like everything they say. I don't have to agree with everything they say, but I damn sure give them the right to say. You know why? Because for 20 years I lived watching women say anything and everything they want, and nobody stopped them. Nobody. I believe in marriage. I know many men don't. I believe in healing up. Now, I'm quite sure the red pill community will get this message, and I'm quite sure I don't speak a lot of their talking points or their talking issues, or maybe their talking narratives. But I'm not necessarily talking to them. I'm talking to those who feel the need to attack them, to belittle them. I'm only here to say that there's some other men that has been down the roads that they have been down, and the narratives that y'all speaking is not true. Now, after this video, I am going to have a talk back moment. I'm going to allow you to come up on the platform and talk about some of the things that was discussed in this video. Or, if you are a member of the Red Pill, I want you to be strong enough to cam up and talk about this dude. You're not talking to the women, you're talking to me. If you feel there's a point you want me to listen to, thought you want me to listen to, or an idea you want me to listen to, I'm here to listen. Doesn't mean I'm going to agree with your talking point. Don't mean I'm going to agree with every situation or issue that you have, but I'm at least willing to listen. Now I'm going to address an issue that I need to be made very clear. I said from the beginning, and I meant it. I'm going to defend the manosphere. I'm going to defend everybody's right to have a voice. I don't have to agree with everything, but I'll give them their level of respect and honor that is due. Why? Because I'm a member of the Millionaire March and proud of it. Go watch Spike Lee. Go hear the conversation that was get on the bus. Some of the talking points that y'all upset with Kevin Samuels about, we was talking like that in 1995. So there's nothing new under the sun. Am I over my red pill rage? I sure am. But as they say, I don't forget where I came from. There's gonna be more videos like this. More deeper topics. And why? Because I'm calling out for any man that feels this pain. Any man that may be in that red pill that just want a fresher breath of air, just to talk, just to grieve, not to yell, not to cuss, not to act foolish, but a man that says, I'm tired of hurting. I'm already leveled up, I just want to heal up. I want to know how to set healthy boundaries for myself. I want to know how to go from pain to gain. I want to know how Intentional Millionaire did it. I want to know how JB did it. I want to know how Before the Billions did it. I want to know, Uncle Stu, how you did it. I don't just talk. I've already walked it. I've already had somebody attempt to try to call me out on a platform. Try to tell me what I need to do. Tell me what my generation didn't do. Boy, please. I fought for my kids in the 90s when a black man couldn't even get his children. Now y'all at least can. Well, I fought in the military, and I'm still fighting right now on the front lines. Fighting for my brothers to be at peace. Fighting for my sisters to get right. Am I perfect? Nope. Do I have a perfect life? No. Do I have a perfect history? No. But I'm on this earth as an imperfected person trying to speak perfectly so that if we can get halfway to the mark, we're a hell of a lot better than the way we started. I want everybody to know I love you. Uncle Stu care about you. It's a whole lot to my story because I'm an old man. Can't blame me for stuff I didn't know. But I'll be glad to teach you what I do know. This is Uncle Stu, old man on the block. And if you're catching this video late, like I said, if there's anything you learned, put it in the comments. You may not agree with everything I say, and that's fine. You may not believe everything I say, and that's fine too. But at least give me an E for effort. E for understanding. Or at least making the attempt to understand. In all thy getting, get understanding. And in all thy ways acknowledge him. And he will direct your path. May the peace and the blessing of God go with you forevermore.